In today's photo deconstruction, I'm going to show you how I use gels and the Pantone color of the year, Illuminating Yellow, for a colorful fashion shoot. Every year when the color of the year is announced, I set out to do fashion shoots featuring that color. Now, my instinct for my style is usually to go monochromatic color scheme. So, for example, this year, the color being Illuminating Yellow, I made sure I shot a yellow on yellow on yellow shot, yellow dress, yellow headpiece, yellow background. That's kind of my go-to stylistically. But I wanted to create something with a little more pop, a little bit more contrast, a little bit more drama, and using a darker skin tone. Now, I love the ways that gels look on a darker skin tone, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity. So the concept began with the color of the year, and I reached out to my wardrobe stylist to see if he could find some dresses in this color. Now, yellow is a little bit more challenging when it comes to wardrobe, especially when the color of the year is announced. That color influences style later on in the year. It takes a little while for that trend to actually reach the clothing that's available. So thankfully he was able to find a bright yellow dress, and then he took some yellow fabric and had a designer make a big matching yellow bow. I just wanted the shot to be a little bit more dramatic than just a yellow dress. Make something with a little bit of theatricality to it. All right, so he got me the dress, he gave me the drama, and then I needed to bring the drama even more with my lighting and my color grading. So let's take a look at what the lighting setup looked like. All right, so for this shot, I used a 3-light setup. My main light was a extra large umbrella with diffusion to the right-hand side of the scene. Now, the reason that I chose this is often when I'm going with white light, so non-gelled light, on a darker skin tone, the skin will look much smoother if I use a softer light source. If I want something where the skin looks kind of specular and shiny, I would go for something harder. But I wanted the skin to look smooth. I wanted it to be flattering. So that's why I chose this large umbrella. I could have used an Octobox or a Softbox or other soft modifier. And I had it off to the right-hand side of the face just to give a little sculpting. Now, dark skin will fall to shadow very quickly, and I didn't want the skin to go too dark, which is why I added the white V-flat on the left-hand side of the frame. You'll notice it's actually not super close to her. I pulled it away just a bit, and the reason that I did that is I didn't want the shadows to be gone. I just didn't want them to be pure black. So, got my main light, soft light on the face, a white V-flat filling in those shadows, and then it's time to introduce the color. So obviously I've got the color on the dress, but I decided to match that color with my rim lights. So on either side of my subject, I added 1x4 foot strip softboxes with yellow gels. Now these strip softboxes, I added grids to help prevent the spill of light, because originally when I was setting up the shot, it was looking a little hazy. The grids control the lens flare, prevents the lens flare. So I'd have really poppy, sharp colors and contrast. Now, originally what I did is I actually set up a Savage Universal storm gray background. So this is basically a dark gray, not quite a black. When I was setting this up, I wasn't sure if maybe I'd want to add a light behind her for a little separation, maybe gel the background a little bit. So that's why I didn't choose a black background. I wanted the ability to gel it if I wanted to, and black absorbs way too much. But actually, once I set this up, black is exactly what I liked. So this is why I have my umbrella feathered away from the background just a little bit, and I made sure the 2 strip softboxes didn't spill on the background. All right, let's take a moment to look at my camera settings. Now, first of all, the camera that I was using was the Canon EOS R5, and my go-to setup, the 24-105, and I was shooting at around 90 millimeters. Now, I shot a bunch of different shots. So there are some shots that you'll see that were to knee length, which were obviously shot at a wider focal length, and then I also cropped in for a nice tight headshot. So the 93 millimeters is the horizontal tight shot that you're going to see, but I was shooting at 50 for some of the wider images. This is why I like my zoom lenses so much. I get a lot of variety really quickly. All right, now my camera settings, I was shooting at 1/200th of a second near my camera sync speed, f8, and ISO 400. All right, now let's take a look at taking a look at what one of the end shots look like, and then we're gonna work back and I'm gonna show you what it looked like straight out of camera. So here is, I just love this image. Here's what one of the final shots look like. It is all about that Pantone color of the year. It's that super bright, high contrast yellow. And then I unify the subject with the yellow of the dress by adding those 2 rim lights, one on either side. Now, the Pantone color of the year right now, that yellow, it's not a very warm yellow. It's kind of almost like a greenish yellow. So I made sure that I shifted the color to more correctly match the hue. Because of course there's a lot of different hues within yellow. It could be warm, it could be a little bit orange, or it could be more towards green. So you see that here. But you'll notice really the only color you see is that yellow, and her skin tone, there is no color to it. It's almost gray, it's almost silvery. That's very much on purpose because it makes the image pop, have contrast, and you're not drawn to warmth of her skin. So let's actually look at what it looked like straight out of camera. All right, so here's what we're working with. You may or may not think this looks good or bad, but when I was shooting, I was capturing this and not going, oh gosh, how am I gonna save this in post or get the colors to look good? I was shooting tethered. So this is actually what I was seeing as I was shooting. And I find this to be a heck of a lot more interesting. All right, so here's what I did. I went in and I was using Capture One, as I specifically selected her skin tone, which was a little bit more of the reds than yellows. So it was reds and oranges. I went in selectively to her skin tone and I desaturated that color. So I desaturated as far as I could, almost making it that silver gray. And then I went into the yellows and I popped that saturation as much as I could. So it is really all about the color. So take a look here again. Just my color grade, no retouching, how much more dramatic that shot is. One more thing I did is you'll see I popped the contrast and the highlights. So watch how her cheekbones, that light underneath her eye, it pops a lot, and then the shadows get darker. So skin tone desaturate, yellows, saturate, contrast up, and then highlights up. Okay, now let's take a look at what I did in retouching. So taking a look at this image right here, some of the things I'm looking at, I think the bow has like a little bit of a stain on it. There's a bump that I might want to even out. And then just the skin in general, I would like it to be really smooth, almost to mimic the smoothness of the wrinkles and folds in the bow. All right, so here's what we ended up with. So I improved the shape of the bow and we really smoothed out her skin. In this close shot, the skin looks quite smooth. When I zoom in, you can see that there's, all that texture. I think the smoothness translates even better in the wide shot because I think it matches and looks a little bit more realistic to skin. Also notice, if I show you the yellows here, so here's the original yellow, but in the final shot, see how it has a little bit more green to it? Again, I pushed it more towards the Pantone color of the year. All right, now before we wrap this up, I actually want to take you behind the scenes even more to show you my thought process as I worked with the model and selected my final shot. So I'm going to take you over into Capture One and show you how I built the shot. Now, originally what I did is I began with the 2 rim lights. I started with the rim lights first. That's something I recommend because if you start with those rim lights, you can see exactly where they are on the face and the body. Sometimes when you add your main light into the equation, it kind of washes things out. It's hard to see. So I will start with my rim lights first, get those in place, maybe turn them off, turn on my main light, and then combine everything so I can see how they all work together. All right, so originally I had something like this, and then we popped on our main light and I started playing around with my color grading. This bow was not attached to the dress. We had to figure out what to do with it to bring the drama. So we went through many different iterations, wrapping pieces of the bow around her head, sometimes around her face, putting the bow on the shoulder, until we found something that we thought worked. So it wasn't, perfect straight out of camera or anything like that. All right, then as I was photographing my subject, I was trying to find the right angles. That dress that she had on, it really it couldn't do much with posing. Like if she raised her knee or turned to the side, it wrinkled instantly. So I had to decide what poses flattered the dress the best, or if I was just going to fix it in post. So it was definitely a challenge I had to consider. So I photographed her straight on. I thought that created some interesting graphic shapes. So I made sure I got my close-up first, and then once I had the close-up, I pulled back a little bit and I tried to create some graphic compositions with her pose and the position of the bow because of course my style is clean, bold, and graphic. So I tried wide shots, close shots, and medium shots. So later on I could compare and pick what I thought was strongest for my portfolio. I think typically when I think of yellow, I think of something that's bright and happy and friendly, but I wanted to do something a little bit different and a little unexpected. So that's why I came up with this image and this approach. Fits my style, catches the eye, doesn't blend in with all the rest. Now, if you'd like to see the gear used in the making of this image, be sure to check out the links in the description below. And of course, visit adorama.com. I'm also going to recommend that you subscribe because I have so many more videos just like this one coming your way. See you next time.